everybody. Blimey, it's early. It's nice to see so many people here. How's everybody doing? Nathan Gamer, hello. Mark's here. He's saying good morning. Hi Sam from Jason. Hi Jason, how are you going? Back at last, says Asher Husky. Good morning, Mr. Duckman. Oh yes, where's Mr. Duckman? Oh, he's there somewhere anyway. Hello, hello, hello. Nice to see so many of you here. Can everybody hear all right? We've had a bit of a change of technology this time. Is the camera working? Hello, hello. Yes, it seems to be. Right, well, it seems like absolutely ages since I've done anything live. I think the last one was with Dave from Hatton's, which just seems so long ago. So yeah, it's nice to be doing this. I didn't do any servicing last month for whatever reason. No idea why. Yeah, your guess is as good as mine, but no, I didn't. So it's been quite a while since I've done some of this servicing, and is everybody enjoying the nasty towel? Isn't it lovely? Very, very nice. Jackamus Prime, hello, good morning, how are you, sir? Says Kevin Dodd. I'm very good, thanks. How are you? Thomas Peterson, hi. Nathan Gamer, hi. Laura Holmes says yes. Oh, there's the ugly duck man. Hi, Sam. Hi to you too. I can hear, says I really like trains. Okay, that's good. Hello, Australia, says Norbert Hall. Oh, we've got someone from Australia. That's good, good. Alan Barker, Dominic Dinosaur, hello, hello. Nathan Gamer says, I love your videos. Thank you so much. Joseph Ashford, morning, Sam. Good morning to you too. Thanks for dropping in. G'day, Sam, from Melbourne, Australia, says Patero. I'm not going to try and pronounce your second name. Sorry about that. But good morning to you too. Right, oh blimey, over in the US it's 4 in the morning, or is that 4 PM? No, I assume it will be 4 in the morning. Blimey, well, that's dedication for you. Anyway, to start off with, a massive, massive thank you to everybody for 30,000 subscribers, and a special shout out to LaZeR, who astonishingly actually made a video, you know, for my channel to say well done for hitting 30,000 subscribers. I wasn't expecting him to do that, so that was a really nice surprise. So I might change the title to this actually, to be a shout out for LaZeR, because that was kind of him, bless him. Morning Conductor, says the Demon Alves Fatado. I have no idea if I said your name right or not. Presumably not. Anyway, quite a few people here actually. I don't normally get many people watching these early morning streams, with it being just boring servicing or whatever, but thank you all for dropping in anyway. Right. Well, since there's enough here, I might as well get started, hadn't I? So I will reveal the first model of the day, which is a bit of a brute, I don't mind admitting, but hopefully it's not one that's going to cause us any problems, at least not today. So it's this. Can I get it in shot? Yes, I can. It's quite fitting, actually. This was the next one on the list of engines to do, and I've only just made a video about the Hornby Edward, didn't I? And yeah, this is the same model that the Hornby Edward was based on. It's been a long week, actually. I've been servicing all week. You're joining me now on the Friday stream, and I'm going to do another one tomorrow morning, I think, if I've got the strength for it. So it's been quite a long week of servicing, but it's all good fun, and we're going to get started with this one. Which one's this? It's the Lincolnshire, number 245, renumbered, I believe, by a previous owner. The Ugly Duckman was in college class. That's all right, no problem. The Demon Albus Furtado says, I love the vids. Thank you very much. Hello, Sam, Diamond Hacker, YouTube. Hello to you too. Right, shall we have a crack at this then? Shall we take it to bits and see what it's like inside? Tender driven, of course. This is the old version, so I'm going to have to take the tender apart. But first of all then, we'll take the loco and we'll just do a little bit of cleaning. I reckon I could just get away really with this one, just cleaning the wheels. I think that's going to be pretty simple. And obviously if there's any problems when it's running, I'm going to have to take it apart and maybe try and clean the axles. But these are famously quite irritating to access. Look, there are some pickups. So anyway, it's quite easy, of course, to clean the wheels on these because you just shove them round. So there we go. This one actually doesn't conduct through the axles. I think I can see some pickups on this. So shall we investigate that? I might even be able to pull the pickups out and clean them, which would be great. I would very much like that. That would be great. Can you make Thomas stories again? Well, I'd love to, but the problem is they take so long. The last one took over a week to make, and basically I've got to really want to do it, otherwise it's just, you know, torture to make. Otherwise, you know, I would make them every week. Damn it, I've got to go to work, not able to watch much. Hope to see this later if you upload. Yes, it will be available, Kevin. Have a good day at work, take care of yourself. Yeah, have a good day. Right, let's take this body off then, just out of interest. Because let's be honest, there's not a lot of interesting things that happen during these servicing streams. I can't believe people still turn up to watch them, to be honest. But while ever people do, I will carry on doing them. Yes, it looks like I can get to the pickups. So there we go. That's all it is. It's really just a set of wheels and some pickups. So I should be able to pull the pickups out. Yeah. There we are, and that's a nice convenient way to be able to clean them. So let's do this. How do you think it's looking today, by the way? I'm using one of the other cameras because I just thought the camera I normally use for these live streams, at least the servicing ones, is such a nightmare, isn't it? Every 2 minutes it goes out of focus and I have to fiddle with the focus. And I just thought, you know, I do have other cameras, you know, why not just bang one of those on and see if it's any better? And so far it has been. So yeah, let me know, everybody, what you think. If you'd rather me revert back to the old one, I can do, but so far this one's looking a lot better. Right, so I've cleaned up the pickups. It's normally a bit of a faff to get them back in, but it seems actually they're going in all right. Hopefully. Yep. Yeah, that's what I was worried about. They sort of get trapped behind the spokes. Can you see that? No, can't. They get trapped behind the spokes, so I tend to use a needle and just sort of coax them back out again. Fiddly little job, this. Come on, let's get it. I think we're in. I think we're in. Yep, that looks better. Well, I'll tell you what, if it doesn't work when we try it, we'll know it hasn't worked. But I think that has, so we can put the body back on there. That's nice and easy, and then we'll take a look at the tender-driven unit, which is again quite another coincidence, because I think on Monday I put that video up on how to service your ring-filled diesels. And interestingly, quite a few people were saying, okay, fine, but how do I do the steamers? So if you were wondering that, you're in luck today, because I'm going to be doing exactly that right now. So there we go, all the wheels looked reasonably clean. I don't think this loco gets an awful lot of running anymore since I got the Railroad versions, which of course are the same model, but they're now loco drive. And me being me, I tend to run those more readily, let's say, than this tender-driven version. Having said that, I do like to keep her in good working order, which is why she's getting a good service today. Alan Crump. Hi Sam, Alan Crump didn't quite make the trump. I won't pretend to know what that means. Do any of you know GWR Studios? Yes, I think I do, Nathan. I think I've heard of him before. Have you played Euro Truck Simulator 2, says Asher Husky. Yes. I don't know if I've played Truck Simulator 2, but I've certainly played some of the Euro Truck Simulators, and there's a British one, isn't there, as well, which I played. They are interesting. I do like them, actually, but they get boring quite quickly, don't they? They're designed in a way so that they're not as boring as you might expect, but they're still quite boring, aren't they? But yeah, I can definitely see the attraction in them. Oh, look at this. It's got like a stabilizer, look. The camera's actually following me around. That's really bizarre. That's really weird. Right, if that becomes a pain, please let me know and I'll try and sort that out. That was weird. Does it do that a lot? Hell, says the Redeeman, Alvis Votado. Oh dear. What's tickled your cage? Tickled your cage? I don't know what that means. Right, so it's quite a challenge anyway to actually free the ring-filled motor unit from these tender locos. Normally just removing the weights like that is enough, but I seem to remember on this one there's a little bit more, and yeah, sure enough, there's a screw on the base. I'll tell you what, the first time I serviced this one I had no idea about the screw in the base, because normally there isn't one. So I was, you know, forcing the thing out, trying to get it out, when all the time it was screwed in from the bottom. So, Anyway, so from here on we've just got, the middle wheels are dropping out, so please somebody remind me not to forget those. So from here on in it's just the same as servicing any ring-filled loco, so I'll try and do this as quick as I can. I've got to go now, says Dante. Alright, have a good day wherever you're going, and take care of yourself. No problem. Actually, I think it was Mike's Movies sent me a good comment on the ring-filled motor servicing video saying, try using a toothbrush on the gears. It's a good way to clean the gears. And that was a great idea. I haven't set that in motion yet, but next time I go to the shops, I'm going to pick up a toothbrush and give it a try. But that's the great thing. I mean, I service these things sort of professionally, not just as a hobby anymore. People pay me to do it. And yet, it's still so interesting to get onto the internet and hear other people's ideas and develop your ways of doing it. There's just so many good ideas out there. And no matter how much you know or how much you think you know, there's always more to learn, which is a good thing about this hobby. So yeah, I'm going to try that with a toothbrush. I can't see anything could go wrong with it, so yeah, it seems like a solid idea to me. Right, hopefully with this one, I'll have to have a look in a second, but hopefully I'm not going to have to take the wheels out, and no, it doesn't look like I'm going to have to, so that is going to save a lot of time. Quite pleased about that. So this one doesn't have the screw-in brush springs. You just literally bend them upwards and take them out. Are these looking dirty? A little bit. Right, let's procure a little bit of a bath for them then. This is the same thing I did on Monday. I just pour a bit of the cleaning fluid into the lid. I don't always do that, I admit. I don't always do that. If the brushes look reasonably good and the springs don't look too tarnished, I'll just give them a quick clean with a cotton bud. But this one looks a little bit dirty. Sorry about the thumping. Ooh, we've got one brush come out. I think the other one is not willing to... Oh, yes it is, yes it is. Shut up, Sam. There we go. Right, so that's nice. That's all come apart quite nice and easily. So now we shouldn't have to take the wheels out, as you can see, because they're not covering up the face. So that's really quite nice. See if I can get these out. Yeah, it's coming off. Okay, nice. Oh, look at that. To say it doesn't get much running and to say it was only serviced 12 months ago, that's looking a little bit on the messy side, don't you think? It was a good job I'm doing this then. What are you fixing in Darlington today, Sam, says the Odd Purple Engine. Well, it's this, amongst other things. Oh, that's filling the screen somewhat, isn't it? It's the D49, the old tender-driven version. And more to come. It's not the only thing I'm going to be doing. Well, if I get time, I'll be servicing 5 engines today. All very different engines as well. I've had a sneaky peek at what I'm going to be doing, and it all looks rather interesting. So, yeah, hopefully it will be. Right, so I'm just cleaning this thing up. Again, I reckon a toothbrush would clean this thing up very nicely. I suppose you've got to be more careful though. Right, so there we go. That's just getting rid of all the gunk off this. Again, it's not really strictly necessary to get every little bit of dirt off every bit of it, but I just like, you know, keeping them in good condition and keeping them as clean as I possibly can. So yeah, I suppose I'm a bit more thorough than I need to be, but it's better than not being thorough enough, I suppose. Right, let's pop that there. Have you checked any Hornby Class K2 steam engine? I don't know if I don't think they've made a Class K2, have they? I could be wrong. I've never seen one. I know they've got a K1, haven't they? Do you mean the Furness Railway K2? Are you barking up Edward's tree there? I don't think so, if that's true. It would be nice though. I think it would sell well, if not from modelers, then Thomas fans. To everyone, if you could have a figure of your favourite character in whatever scale you have, what could it be? Steamer the Steam Train asks that. He's asked me that before, and I said I didn't know. That's an interesting one. Ooh. Everybody, if you can think what character you'd like to have. I suppose it doesn't necessarily mean a train character. Very interesting, that. I think I'd probably have, you know, in America, the Chuck E. Cheese. Well, not Chuck E. Cheese, the Rock-afire Explosion. I'd probably have one of those characters. That would be awesome. If I could have one of the real ones with all the animatronics inside, I'd love that. Lady, says Brian, sorry, not Bryn. Yes, a lady model would be nice. Is Lady a very popular character? I don't know. Because I don't expect Bachmann will make more Thomas characters unless they're very, very popular ones. So, yeah. Right, so this commutator's looking reasonably clean now. Of course, I could get the Dremel on it and really polish it up, but actually I think it's looking reasonably clean. And again, you don't want to be using the Dremel unless it's absolutely necessary, because it is, as I say, a very abrasive process. So I'm not going to do that. I think we'll just put this thing back together now. I'll tell you what, this following my hands around thing is starting to get on my nerves a bit. It's not so bad actually when I zoom out. That's interesting. Are you using IPA now, says Philip Page. Yes, this is IPA. It's just in a green food colouring bottle for whatever reason. If you're interested in cleaning fluids and things, and I know many people are because it's a fascinating subject, I am going to be doing a cleaning fluids video quite soon. In fact, I've already filmed it. It's just waiting to go out. I did basically a little bit of an experiment to see all the different popular cleaning fluids and see which ones work the best. So yeah, hopefully that will be an interesting video. I quite enjoyed it. I did a bit of an experiment. I like to change things up a little bit once in a while. So, tiny bit of oil. I only now use a very small bit of oil on the brush side of the armature because it's devastating, and it actually gets very, very, well, it causes the commutators to get very dirty if there's any oil on them. and of course that affects performance. So yes, it's a big no-no. Right, let's get these out then. Let's get the brushes out if I can first from the little IPA bath. This works very well. I think I first saw this, I think I did see this done on a YouTube channel. I forget who it was now, but yeah, somebody else was doing this and I thought, hey, that's not a bad idea. If anybody knows who it is, give them a shout in the chat and I'll take a look in a second. There we are, they're good and clean looking now. I'll just give them a quick once over with the cotton bud. I bet you all don't know who Misty is. Yeah, people have been asking me about Misty. I've been looking her up. I didn't find an awful lot though. Right. So these springs are looking good actually, although one of them's looking quite bent. I might have to replace these springs one day. I've got loads of them of course, but I don't like to replace them unless it's absolutely necessary because they're a bit of a finite resource, aren't they? Do you still recommend the WD-40 after cleaning with alcohol for track? No, to be honest. It did seem to work, and I don't know the chemistry behind why it seemed to work. But it's just a faff, isn't it? It's so difficult to get the damn stuff off again afterwards. And to be honest, the Pico track rubber does such a good job. I wouldn't use anything other than that. So basically, my track cleaning these days is just Pico track rubber, give it a good rub. Not much of a rub, you can just, once or twice. And then you just go over it with the Dapo track cleaner. None of the tools I use on that, just purely the vacuum cleaner. And that's it. And that works great. Have I got these brushes in the right way? I think so. Can't get these springs to stay in place. I'll turn it on its side so you guys can see. It's quite weird doing this on camera because you have to sort of do everything and not get your hands in front of the camera. So you've got to try and A, be accurate with it, and B, not cover up the camera, which is easier said than done, but I think most of the time I get on alright. I'm not convinced that this brush is in the right way. I'm sure it is, but yeah, no, it was. Right, I'm going to have to just shove the spring down a bit more. What's people saying? I'm not going to be on until tonight, but good luck. Ah, okay. Sounds good. Right, anyway, let's get this thing back together and get it tested, shall we? No more messing about. Has that gone in right? Yeah, it looks like it. Well, we'll soon know, won't we? Because I'll power it up and we'll take a look. One of my crocodile cleaves is poorly, by the way. Crocodile cleaves? I don't know what I was saying there. Crocodile leads. Basically, the wire came off it, and I soldered it back on, and I forgot all about the jacket that covers it. But then I just thought, actually, the jackets just cause problems, don't they? I mean, I know they're supposed to insulate it from your fingers and such, but I'm not going to get a shock off 12 volts. And basically, once you've got greasy hands, you end up with slipping on them and not being able to use them properly. Right, does this motor work? Yes, it does. There we go. So we'll let that have a little bit of a run. I'll go and grab my drink. Sam, why did you choose 00 gauge, Mother Russia? Because it had the most on offer, really. The other gauges are great. And actually, these days, N gauge has quite a lot on offer. In terms of the models and the variety, but it didn't 5 years ago or whatever. O gauge is fantastic. I think O gauge would be my preferred thing, but obviously there are issues with that, with the space and at the price, of course. I could never have a collection the size of my 00 collection in O gauge. Obviously, definitely because of the price, but also because of the space it'd take up. So yeah, I think 00 gauge I'm quite happy with actually, although I wouldn't mind trying some narrow gauge stuff one day. That would be interesting, but not right now. I've got to save up first. Right, a bit of oil now. And we'll put these gears back in and put it all back together and hope the damn thing works. I'm sure it will do, they normally do. This one's quite a nice one. Actually, a lot of these Ringfield designs I've replaced with my CD motor conversion. But this one, there's not many of the tender driven ones actually, but there are a few. This one, I think it's the 2800 class as well. They have always been fine, so I've never needed to replace them. Which is good, no complaints from me there, of course. So yeah, while ever these work okay, I suppose I'll keep them in here. In original condition, of course, but as soon as they start going bad, which they shouldn't do if I'm servicing them regularly and things, I'll have to replace the motor, but I think they're fine. Right, let's give this a try with all the gears in then. Hopefully I've done it properly. I don't think I've oiled the gears properly yet. Need to just do that briefly. Bit of oil on them should get round. Right. There we go. Oh, there's a lot of power behind that one. It's making the table vibrate, quite interestingly. Oh, Nathan, too much information there. But thank you for all the detail. That's very interesting. Right, let's get on with these wheels then, get them cleaned, and we'll get the thing back together and move on. There we go. I try not to drag my feet. I'll try and get through them a bit today. I think it saves me spending all day on the damn things, doesn't it? Right, let's clean these traction tyres, which are not very dirty actually. The commutator did look dirty, but the wheels don't. Suppose it's good. I try and keep the tracks clean though, obviously, which helps keep the wheels nice and clean. Awkward silence, says Diamond Hacker. I haven't made any awkward silences, have I? Although I suppose the whole toilet conversation may have caused one in the chat. Right, I think that's it. I think the wheels are clean. Right, let's put this thing back together, and yes, I mustn't forget to put these extra wheels back in. These side wheels. Right, so there's one, there's the other. It's a bit of a, well, challenge to hold them in place while you put the tender back together, but hopefully it'll be okay. Okay, so which side does this go in? I think it goes in this way. And also I seem to remember the screw that holds the mechanism in is a bit fiddly as well, so I think I'll try and do that first if I can. Let's see if I can get it in. No, it's not screwing in. Yeah, it's fiddly because it's got to reach all the way through to the chassis, and the screw hole isn't close to the hole. There we go, I've got it. Phew, that could have taken a long time. Okay, plug the motor back in, and then it's just a case of putting the weights back on. And look at the size of these weights. This was just to give that tender a little bit of extra weight. And a bit of extra traction, of course. I do often wonder how these would run without the traction tyres, because the tenders sometimes are so heavy. Surely they'd still have a bit of traction. I suppose it wouldn't have been great, but interesting to find out anyway. Right, I'm going to put this wire above the weight. Right. See if I can get this in then, and then hopefully that will work. Is that in properly? I think it is. I can't tell. Hopefully it is. Do you tend to run all of your locomotives? Do you cycle through them? Says Trent. Well, I try to run them as often as I can, obviously, but it's mainly whenever they crop up in videos. I try and think of videos that use engines that I haven't used in a little while, and at that time that tends to sort of get me through them all. But yeah, they all get run. I suppose most models run at least once a year in a video, and slightly more than that for me, for my sort of personal use, I think you'd say. But yeah, I try to run them as much as I can, but obviously with there being so many, I don't run them as often as I'd like to. But anyway, yeah, I try to run them as much as I can. Right, let's see if this is working then. Yeah, alright, it seems to be. So I think we'll now get them down onto the track and we'll see if it runs alright. Oh, waiting for the Christmas sales to begin for, I think it's to buy Train Simulator DLC, says Mark. Oh, that'll be interesting. Yes, we all like the old Christmas sales and the Steam sales and such. Right, let's go down to the ground then, and we'll see if this works. I'm hoping it will, because it's very soul destroying if something doesn't work and you have to put it, you know, take it to pieces again and try and fix the thing. Right. Normally with these, the biggest problem is the connection between the loco and the tender. It can be a bit of a nightmare, that. But this one I think is alright. We'll see if it is. Ah, nothing. Yeah, I haven't got anything. I haven't got any power. Although it does seem to be... Yeah, that's interesting. Can't seem to get any life out of it, although it was just working, wasn't it? So I wonder if it is what I thought. It might be the problem with the Yeah, with the old connection between loco and tender, but there's an easy test for it, so we bung it on the track like that. Make sure it's not jammed up or anything. No, it is. And I'll just go and grab a crocodile. In fact, I can use one of these. Use one of these crocodile leads. Can you see, by the way? Am I in shot yet? And I'll manually attach one of these leads to the drawbar, and then whichever lead it will be, I think it's this one. Oh, hello. Right. Okay. So now I'm wondering whether or not I made a mistake when I put this logo back together. I wonder if I forgot to plug something back in. Can you remember what I mean? I wonder. I think that's something worth checking before we take the tender apart again. Ooh, we've got some drama, folks. We've got some drama. I don't think it's ever happened before where a logo's not worked first time. I'll just go and grab a crocodile. Yes, Hayden, that's my style. There's quite a few crocodiles up here, actually. It's sometimes a little bit worrying, shall we say, while I'm trying to work. Right, yeah, I reckon I forgot to plug something back in inside here. At least I'm going to check that I didn't. Yep, I did. What a wally. Right, can you see this? Let's go in a bit. Look there, there's the culprit, the little criminal. Let's plug this back in and that should fix the problem. Honestly, what am I like? Did anybody spot that, by the way? I bet somebody might have told me in the chat and I missed it. Oh, that's my own fault. Okay. Right, if it doesn't work now, I'll be very confused, because hopefully that's fixed it. Let's screw this back in. I was worried then, I thought something was seriously wrong, but no, it looks like it was just that. Right, let's see it. Just make it snappy. Always, always. Right, let's try this. Yeah, I'm fairly confident that will have fixed the problem, but you never know until you check. Right, everything on properly? If it's not on the track right, that's never a good start. Right, there we go. It's not bad, is it? That's quite slow and smooth for a Ringfield. Let's pop the body back on. Yeah, still works with the body on, that's good. There we go, got reasonable speed to it as well, of course. Alright, yeah, reasonably pleased with that. That seems to be working just fine, so she'll be alright for another year now, I think. Right, I'll tick that off on the master list then, and I'll let you know what's coming up next. Right, so that is the D49. I've got it down as Cheshire in the book, but it isn't Cheshire, obviously. 18. I'll schedule this again for October 19. I know it isn't October now, but it will be soon. Right, so that's the D49 done. The next one is an N15. It's Sir Dinadan, and it's also quite an old design, but it's a Triang one this time. Well, I think technically speaking it's Hornby, but it's a Triang design, very much so. Right, I'm just rifling through my booklet here to try and find the correct page. I'm looking for S. I don't think it's under N15 actually, I think it is under S for Sir Dinadan, that's its name. S. Sentinel, Sir Dinadan, there we go. Right, well there's no notes on Sir Dinadan, he's a very mysterious chap. There he is, loco driven this time, you'll be pleased to hear, for a bit of a change. Hang on, you can't see him. Where is he? There we go. Quite a nice thing actually. They did do a matte version too, which I'm going to try and get one day if I can see one in good condition. Yeah, this one's the gloss version, which is also very nice. But they did have a tendency to look a little bit toy-like, I sometimes think, in the gloss. But no, it's not too bad, is it? Right. The odd purple engine. Hayden, surprised to see you here. Yeah, it's nice to see old Hayden in here for a change. And he works, Jacob Ginty, yes. Right, this one should work actually. This one should still work as well. I had her running not too long ago, but nonetheless it's been a while since her last service, so I'm going to give her one nonetheless. In the strictly cleanest possible sense, obviously. Right, there we go. Look at that, look at the bodywork. Quite a nice shine on it to say it's from the 70s. I think it's from the 70s. Right, well the screw's at the back, so I'll not put her into the cradle. I'll just take it straight out. We'll have a look at this mechanism. I don't think this was the only loco to use this chassis. I think. There weren't very many loco-driven 460s, except for the Halls, of course. I suppose it might be similar to the Hall class, actually. Thinking about it, we'll have to have a look at that, shall we? Yeah, it's quite similar to the Hall. I'm not 100% convinced it's the same, but it's probably based on the same thing. Obviously, the running gear is quite different to that of the Hall. Right, you see that? It's nice popping into stream. Yes, it is nice. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk to Half-Baked Hex 8 about maybe coming over and doing a running session with TARDIS Rescue or something like that one day. Now that it's a bit cooler up here, now that the summer's over and everything, it's a bit more pleasurable to actually be up here. Right, pop the brushes out first of all then. There we go. So this is the standard XO4 service. I've got a lot of these XO4 locos, but I don't think I've serviced many of them on stream before, have I? So it should be a novel experience, shouldn't it? Did everyone hear, by the way, about the sad news? I've just remembered that. Yesterday it was announced that John Cunliffe had died from Rosie and Jim. You know, John, the bearded chap. Always loved Rosie and Jim when I was little. And if you watch them now, it's actually very funny to see John, because he acted very oddly on camera, didn't he? Bless him. Which is, of course, what made the show, in my opinion. I always like to see his strange acting. Very entertaining. So yeah, I think he was 85 though, so that's quite a ripe old age, isn't it? You can't complain at that. Right, so there we got the motor, the XO4. Oh yes please, he says, I still need to try out half of my engines. Alright, well that sounds like a good video idea to me. Hayden tries his engines. We could do a little running session, Hayden, that's alright, isn't it? Right, this commutator's clearly been dremeled because I'm cleaning it now. If I zoom in on this, I wonder how far in I can get before it goes out of focus. Oh, quite far. Because as I'm cleaning it, it's coming up really, really clean. So I reckon either last year or the year before I must have dremeled it. And I won't do it again, obviously. I won't do it again for a few years until it really needs it. Yeah, that's looking good. That's very clean. Let's get a needle and just clear out those gaps. You don't really need to do that with the ring fields because the gaps are very shallow. But with these, they go quite way in, so it's quite important. Hey, look at this. We couldn't get these uber close-ups before, could we, on that old camera? This is quite nice. If I move very slightly, though, you won't see it, so I've got to be careful. What's people saying? Sam totally hasn't collaborated with TARDIS Rescue. It has happened a few times, yeah. I think the first one was when we did the C-Class. Can you remember that? Which I'm going to review again soon, actually, because I found another nice version of the C-Class with the green lining on it. I think I showed it during a live stream, didn't I? So yeah, I thought it's so beautiful with the green lining on it. It's still Southern Black, but it's just got this lovely green lining on it, like the Drummond 700 class has that I've got. And I just thought it's so lovely. I'm gonna film it again and do a new review. Because the old review I'm gonna keep because Dan was in it. Normally I'd get rid of it, but since it was a collaboration, I'm gonna keep it. But I think the new review should be different enough to warrant keeping both. Right. So that's the motor. It's turning very freely actually, so I'm hoping this is going to be a decent runner. With a bit of luck anyway. Yes. I'm going to clean up this brush spring as well because it looks a little bit on the rusty side. So I'm going to try and find my file if I can, because I think that's quite important. The trouble is, when I do these live servicing streams, I clear the entire desk and I often can't find things. Usually I sort of put things down and I'm quite good with remembering where they are, but things are all turned on their heads a little bit during streams, so if I can't find a file, I'm going to be annoyed with myself here. If I zoom out, can anybody see one? That sometimes does happen. People will say, it's there, it's there. I don't think that's true now, though. That's odd and annoying. I did have one. It was here not long ago. I used it yesterday, I think, on something. What a pain. Right, not to worry. It must be here. Good old-fashioned emery board. I'm not taking it over here, then. No. Right. Slight hiccup there. Let me check it's not underneath my iPad where I'm reading the chat. No, it isn't. Okay, never mind. Well, I think it'll be alright. If it doesn't conduct properly, I'm going to have to alter it, but not to worry. If this current loco brakes like the schools class but with a different wheel. Oh, sorry, this current loco looks like the schools class but with a different wheel configuration. Yeah, it could well be. I think it was a Maunsell design as well, wasn't it? Perhaps it wasn't a Maunsell design originally, but yeah, I think he would have had something to do with it. Actually, this isn't looking too bad anyway. I think it'll be fine. I just wonder where my files got to, that's all. I've got loads of them, but it involves digging through the toolbox, and that's not very, well, let's say it's not pleasant on the ears when you've got a microphone shoved right up next to it, so I'm steering away from doing that wherever possible. I'll try and get all the tools out before the stream so that I'm not rummaging for them constantly. But clearly I forgot the file today, but never mind. Okay, so that's the motor back together. Should we give that a quick thrash just to make sure it does work? I hope it does. Right. Right, the power supply's turned down, that's good. A little bit of power to the motor. I dare hold it while it's on. As I say, you don't get a shock from 12 volts unless you're very conductive. Right, there we go. Well, that seems to work, doesn't it? Should we turn it up to 12 volts and see what happens? Oh yeah. Well, that sounds as healthy as it could sound, I reckon. Right. It's always a bit of a pain putting the crocodile leads straight onto the brush like that because it tends to cause the brush to come away from the commutator, which is never ideal. Right. So now we'll access the axles, just give them a little bit of a clean if possible, and also clean up the pickups just to make sure that everything's conducting properly. And then we'll put the thing back together and clean the wheels. So there we go. The pickups come clean away from the plate, which is quite nice. You have to remember which way those plates go on, otherwise you're fiddling with it trying to remember, which is always a bit of a nuisance. So clean these axles. They always get a little bit of black gunge on these axles, and that's because they're used to conduct power from one half of the track at least. Tell you what, this wheel set, to say it hasn't got any solid bearings in it, or bushings if you like, it does spin very, very freely, which is nice. It's exactly what you want, of course. Of course, Triang did things properly, didn't they? Unlike today with the square bearings, there's still quite a lot of locos out there getting produced with square bearings. I noticed one the other day, my Bachmann Jubilee. Now that was not a cheap model, and yet no bearings, and the bearings on the chassis are square. And as a result, actually, they're always filthy. I service it every year, and every time they're filthy, because of course it's wearing the axles away. So they will be filthy. But these aren't. These are never too bad. Right, there we are. I tell you what, I haven't got a file, but what I have got, well, I have got a file. Don't everybody start sending me files. But I have got one of those carbon fibre pens, which I wish I'd have thought of actually, because I could have used that on the brush spring. I think I've got that to hand. Where is it? Yeah, there it is, look. That's a carbon fibre pen. It's a bit dirty looking at the moment on the end, but it still seems to work, so I'm not going to trim the end off because I don't want carbon fibres going all over the floor. Right, so that looks alright. Oh yeah, wheel set still turns nicely once the base is back on. So let's put the motor back in then, make sure this hair's come off it. And then I'll oil everything lightly, and we'll clean the wheels with it. There we go. This one's had the TV suppression removed, quite interestingly. These days I put it back in because it actually reduces the sparking a bit on the commutator. It helps to keep them clean, but it's not. I don't think it's a major issue. I mean, this one was all right. This one was fairly clean actually. So there you go. That's that. What's Purple saying that's mean? Well, I didn't see that. We have got moderators, so if people are being mean, they might get thrown out. I don't like throwing people out, obviously. You can say what you like, but try and keep it clean and don't keep it mean. Hey, that's a nice catchphrase, isn't it? If it wasn't so quirky, I might use that again next time. Right. So let's hold that there. There we go. Let's. Did I clean the bogey wheels? I don't think I did. Let's clean them. Again, it's a bit pointless cleaning the bogey wheels because they don't conduct or anything, but once again it just saves me spreading dirt all over the track. Not that they would, because they're not that dirty. But yeah, actually they're not dirty at all. I might have just cleaned them and forgotten that I had. I sometimes do that. It's worrying, isn't it, at my age? Never mind. Right, there we are. Okay, so a little bit of oil then on the valve gear and things and the linkage rods. Not very much. I don't put very much oil on these at all these days because they don't seem to, well, it just gets things dirty, doesn't it, basically. And with me servicing them fairly regularly, I mean once a year is quite regular, they don't tend to dry up over that time, so I think it's fine. There we go, a little bit of oil there, and let's power this up. You never quite know for sure whether it's going to work once it's all been put back together, so it's always interesting to find out. Where shall I power this? Oh, no, I'm going to have to power it on the brush again. Again, I don't like doing that, but needs must. Right, hopefully that's made a connection. If it hasn't, then it's not going to work, is it? But we'll see. Oh yeah, it's quite nice. See if we can get a crawl out of it. No. No is the answer. Give it a little push. Yeah, this power supply is not actually a train controller. It's just a regular 12-volt power supply, so it hasn't got any feedback or anything on it, so if it stalls, it's quite easy to stall anyway. Yes, John Cunliffe, creator of Postman Pat. Yeah, I probably should have mentioned that, Nathan, actually. I think the Postman Pat thing is more crucial than Rosie and Jim. I think I mainly knew him for Rosie and Jim, but yeah, I think Postman Pat was more popular at the very least. Just give the lads some slack. What's going on when people call me purple? Oh, I don't know what's going on. Is there an argument brewing? Somebody let me know. There's something about being called purple, I don't know. I'm gonna stay out of it, I reckon. Right, once again, these wheels are not looking dirty in the slightest. Not very much dirt coming off them at all, but that's always alright, I'm not complaining. They look dirty, but they're not. But the trouble is these have got very thin metal tyres on them, so I'll be a bit wary of putting the Dremel on them because I don't want to sort of spoil the finish or whatever. There we are, a bit of oil on that gear. It's a bit naughty doing it while it's turning really, but it seems to work alright. Right, I don't know why I keep cleaning these wheels because there's nothing coming off. I keep expecting them to, but no. Alright, that looks fine. Okay, ooh, let's bring that to a stop. And let's put the body back on, see if it works alright on the track. Hopefully it will do, and then we're sort of even, aren't we? One did, one didn't. Right, where's the body? Let's put this back on. So this one lugs in from the front, which I think is quite standard really for the Triang ones. There's a few locos that still basically connect like this today. I think the Hornby 9F does. There we are. I tell you what, I've got something to show you in a minute. It's quite interesting. You might find it quite interesting. It's a bit of a sneak preview to something that I've got coming up, so you might enjoy it. Right, let's put this back screw in. Again, it's a bit of a pain to get these screws in too, because they have to go quite a way back, but I've done that one. Hey, that worked first time, that was quite good. I never like to tighten those up too badly, or too much. Right, so there we go, that's the good old Sir Dinadan done. Right, everyone here needs to be treated equally here. If you think about what we are, we're all one big family. Does it matter our age or what we do? We're all friends here and continue to be so. That's true, Asher, yeah, nobody fight, come on now. Right, let's see if the old Sir Dinadan works. If I'm saying it right, I never know whether it is Dinadan or what, but I sure call him that. Okay. Quite a nice one to service that, it all comes apart quite nicely, quite easily. Right, this front bogie I've not managed to put on very well. Okay. Oh yeah, such a nice run of this one. I tell you what, once it's on the feedback controller, I'll be willing to bet it'll do a better crawl. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, you could tell that was going to be a good runner, couldn't you? Just by looking at the motor and the condition of it. So it is creeping forwards there. That's a lot better than the D49. There we are. Very good that. It's only a 3-pole, mind you, but it seems to work very well. So there we go, that's the D49, hope you like that. There's not much to like, is there really, watching somebody service, but no, if people like it, that's fine. Right, let me tick this off then, and we'll see what's coming up next. Oct 18. Very good, right, that's a tick. Okay, so we've got a tank engine coming up next, which I think people should be pleased about. People tend to like seeing tank engines, from what I understand. So it's J83. I think it's one of the ones that I forgot its name when I did my collection video. Which always seems to happen normally. I mean, my memory's not very good generally, but when it comes to remembering the names of the classes and things, it's normally okay. But during that video, when I've got to remember every single one in the collection with, you know, immediacy, it's a little bit more difficult. Right, so this is the modern version, and when I say modern, it's from 10 years ago or something around that ballpark. There it is. It's, well, I suppose you'd call this one an XL&ER one because it's in the BR, British Railways, but early British Railways because it's still got the Doncaster colours on it, or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, this shouldn't take long. This should be a reasonably nice and easy one. Well, hopefully. I've got a black 5, says Nathan Gamer. Oh, it's broken though. That's a shame. Never mind. Can you please get your friend to do a race on your tracks? What friend's that? Oh, you mean Hayden? You could come and do some races, you mean? Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I don't mind a bit of racing once in a while. People like tank engines because Thomas and friends, says Nathan Gamer. Yeah, that's probably true actually. Yeah, that's probably a fair comment. I wish I had a streamliner. All right, Steamer the Steam Train. Which one would you go for then? You reckon A4 perhaps? Maybe the Coronation? It's not really a lot of choice with streamlined models, at least not with the UK ones. Right, let's give this a little bit of a clean off then, and we'll see about getting this body off. It's actually quite a pain to get the body off these, if I remember, but we'll give it a shot anyway. Give you a close look as well, now that this camera seems to be focusing in nicely. Look there. It's got a nice finish on this to say it was originally a Triang loco from, I suppose, the 60s. But this is a much later version of it with a much refined paint job. But yeah, this was quite nice to see. Right, so I don't think these are screwed in to the chassis. I think the bodies just come straight off if you push them and prod them in the right direction. In fact, I might just be able to pull this one out if I'm very careful. No, I can't seem to do that. Right, so we're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way then. And just bear with me if you don't see this bit very well. I'll try and get it out as quick as I can. There we are. Yeah, I never like doing that. I don't like putting pressure on models like that. Right, okay, so what shall we do first? Shall I take the wheel set out and give the pickups and things a bit of a clean, or shall I take the... Oh yeah, that's alright, we can take the wheel set out first. Tell you what, I'm not going to be able to hold it with the couplings, am I? Oh, never mind. I play Fortnite, says Maxima Siegel. And a lot of people do. The engine actually looks like an E2, but the side tanks are shorter. Yeah, I suppose it's not dissimilar from the E2, is it? Yeah, I see what you mean. It certainly runs on the same chassis anyway. I'm pretty sure this is the same chassis as the E2, or the later E2, or the Thomas models in fact. Right, let's see how this one's fared then. I reckon I've run this a few times in videos. I don't suppose anybody can remember. But yeah, this one's quite a nice little tank engine, and people asked to see it quite a bit as well, so it did... Oh, that's right, I did a live stream on it, didn't I? So it has done some running at least over the last year, we know that much. I'll tell you what, all the screws are very, very tight. I don't normally screw them in that tight, but these are like ridiculously tight. Oof. Not to worry, I suppose it keeps the thing together alright. I don't know if there's a reason, maybe the gears might have been slipping, I suppose. That might have caused me to really tighten everything up. Or, I don't know, I might have just done it by accident. Right, ooh, it's a little bit oily. But look at the quality here in this mechanism. So you've got the expensive Bachmann locos like the Jubilee, for example, which hasn't got any bearings in it at all. And then you've got this cheap thing, which cost me 20 quid or whatever, and it's got full metal bearings in there, look. Except this one. This one's got a spring, I presume. Yeah, it's got a spring. But yeah, they always run very, very nicely. Right, let's whip the wheel set out then. There we go. We'll clean the chassis up first, I reckon. Get a cotton bud on it. Oh, okay, Scott1625 is here cleaning his engines and track as well. That's good. Raptor Pack says, can I be in the video? I can give you a shout out, Raptor Pack. How about that? There you go. Hello to Raptor Pack. Any pennies are my favourite tankers. Oh right, okay. Yeah, I think I've heard of those. They sound lovely. Right, let's clean these chassis blocks out. It's actually, I said, oh, it's oily when I first took it off, but really there's not a lot of oil on it. I've not got much off it there. Right, put that to one side. We'll clean the pickups and things in just a sec. Let's clean the wheel set then. Could probably go in a bit closer for this. Hey, it's just so nice having the camera focused properly. It really is. All right, okay. Mother Russia's gonna go to Wicker Models now to pick up some points and be back soon. All right, well, good luck. Hope you find your points. Right, now this back axle looks filthy, but it's not. There's nothing really coming off it, so it just must be tarnished. I like to try and clean these as thoroughly as possible because you do tend to get hairs wrap around them. Although having said that, there isn't a single one on this. But no complaints there, that's all fine. A little bit dirty though, I think that's because the oil tends to attract dirt. But not badly actually, it seems to be quite nice. Nice and clean. Okay, good. Right, I think what I'll do then is I'll put that to one side and we'll bring the chassis back. And we'll take the motor unit out, because then it's easier than fighting with the pickups. If I put the wheel set in first, I'll have to fight the pickups behind the wheels, and then when I take the motor unit out, I'll have to do it again. So, I'll do it all in the one time. I wonder if this one has been, yeah, this has got that horrible black tack on it. There we go. Yeah, there's a little blob of this black tack, which I think really serves to dampen vibration and make the thing run quietly. I assume that's what it's for. Because to be fair, this one is a very quiet runner. So I bet that's it. Right, so there's no real advantage to taking the motor off if you don't want to. I just do it because you can sort of look behind the worm and make sure there's no fuzz around it, because sometimes, particularly with second-hand ones that have been owned by kids that have run it on the carpet, a bit like what I do, you tend to get them a little bit fuzzed up, and so I like to take them to bits and get all that hair out. But with this one I can just give it a wipe. There is like a dog hair behind this one actually. Can you see that? Nope, you can't see it. A little white hair anyway. It's either an old man's hair or a dog. Let's not get into that. So yeah, I wonder if I didn't take this apart before. I wish I had done. I tell you what, you can't see this, can you? Let's zoom out. Anyway, it looks reasonably clean. Yeah, it's not too bad that. Okay, well I might as well clean the pickups while it's out and make sure they're all adjusted properly. Hi Sam, says Lachlan Kyle. Lachlan. Sorry, I think I'm terrible with the old pronunciations, or pronunciations, as it's supposed to be pronounced. It's an ironic thing to get wrong, isn't it? Right, there we go. Again, this is not a very dirty model. I suppose the more models I get, the cleaner they stay if they don't run as often. But yeah, that looks like it looks brand new. And I know it isn't brand new because it was second hand when I bought it, but yeah, it looks brand new. Right, very nice. Quite like that. Okay, let's put the wheel set in then, shall I? And then we'll put the motor back in afterwards. Put that back in last thing. Try and wheedle these bearings back into place, if I can. Let's go back in for you. I'm just basically spreading these bearings back into their slots. And look at that. That back wheel wobbles a bit because it's got the spring underneath it, but once the bottom of the body's, well, once the base plate's back on, that should be improved. But that's with no oil, that's all been cleaned away, so let's put some oil on it. But that's what you want. If every model wheel set ran like that, look at this. So smooth. The hobby would be a much better place, I'll tell you that. Right, enough playing with that. Let's put this thing back together. Hopefully it will go together all right. I think I got this the right way. Yep, there we go. So I'm going to screw this all together a little bit more gently this time, because it was all a bit difficult to get apart last time, or this time. So this is my technique. I suppose you should always do it really. You put the screws in quite loosely to start with, get them all in, and then tighten them up. And that just means that you can get them all in. Sometimes if you tighten them up too soon, the base plate won't be in the right place and you won't be able to get the others in. And then of course you've got to go and loosen them all off anyway, so you might as well get it right first time. Right, again, very nice and easy to service, don't you reckon? The whole thing comes apart, and you can access the axles properly, which is a big plus. The pickups aren't too fragile, which is nice. Yeah, generally these are good designs, and they still produce them. I think the what is it, the 3F, the Ginties? I think they still use these chassis, don't they? Good morning, Sam. Charles Curtis, how are you doing? The smaller wheels are called blind drivers or flangeless. Yes, although this one isn't supposed to have blind axles, I don't think. I think that's just so that the model would have taken small curves. And also there's a traction tyre fitted, yeah. But I don't think the prototype had blind axles there. It might have done, but I can't imagine why. I mean, the curves they would have been experiencing wouldn't have been that tight, would they? But yeah, that's interesting. This one does have a blind axle, and also the Triang versions always did as well. But that was for the radius curves, first radius and whatever. All of the Triang track was always very, very tight on the old curves. And so, I mean, it was one thing with these tank engines and things, but if you imagine the Coronations and the Flying Scotsman and everything, I imagine they were a real nuisance. Yeah, right, I think that's it. We can put that all back together. Give it a quick test, clean the wheels. Right, well, the wheel set's locked up now, which is good. That means the gears have meshed. So the only thing really remaining to do is to test it and hope that it works. Let's do that. The helping hand's falling to bits. Screw this back together. Okay. Right, so just need to find somewhere now to connect the power supply. Where's the other connector? It's a bit fiddly this bit. Right, well I think that's connected. Let's give it a little bit of oil on the rods at least, and on the main gear. And then we'll crank it up. God willing. What's going on in the chat? Yeah, used for going around tight curves. Certainly. I don't know of many prototypes that really did that. The 9F is a big one, of course. I suppose it's not something that's immediately obvious, is it? Unless you're really down at track level looking. But see if anyone can look that up. Did the J83 have a flangeless wheel? Is it necessary to clean plastic wheels on rolling stock, says Dave Henshaw? Only to stop them spreading dirt onto the track. I mean, I clean mine, but only so that the rest of the track stays clean. If you let them get super dirty, they sort of tread the dirt all over the track, and then the stuff that does need to pick up won't be able to. So, yeah, it's not absolutely necessary, but I would if you've got time. This stream has almost been running for an hour, says Nathan Gamer. Yeah, it has. In fact, almost exactly an hour, now that it's 11 o'clock. And I think this is the third model, 3 of 5, so that's not bad. Should get done for lunchtime, should get done for 12, and we can all go and have our lunch. And then I'll be back tomorrow, Saturday, at the same time, and do another 5. And then I've actually nearly finished the servicing for this month. Right, well, as you saw there, the traction tyres were very dirty on this, so I'm going to come back to them. I'll clean them off again in a minute. That's the one bad thing about this model. It's got a damn traction tyre on it, which is a shame. I suppose it is quite a light model though, which it needn't be, because look at this, the body has got so much empty space. There is a weight that's been put in the sort of smoke box area, but there's still a lot more empty space. Look at that, the cab's all empty. So yeah, they could have made it heavier and done away with the traction tyre, but clearly not. Not to worry though, never mind. It does run nicely, and you can't really complain when that's the case, can you? So look at that, still loads of dirt coming off these traction tyres. But that's the problem with traction tyres, isn't it? They attract dirt. Right, I've got to go to bed at 9 PM, and it's 8 PM right now, says Nathan. Oh, very interesting. So where did you say you were from, Nathan? It can't be the US, because I think someone said it was 4 o'clock in the US. So, but Australia perhaps? The new packet is out. Try not to miss it this time. Is it, Jordan? I've got one pre-ordered, but I haven't heard anything. When did it come out? It's the apple... No, not apple green. It is a green one. I don't know what you call it. Right, well, after the stream, I'll have to look into that then, because I want to get that reviewed at long last. Right, well that seems to run nicely. I will put the body on before I try it on the track. It's tempting fate slightly, but it seemed to work so nicely that I'm sure it will work. Right, well luckily putting on the body, touch wood, is a bit easier than taking it off. So let's see. I've noticed the back of the body is swelling up very slightly, which isn't very nice. In fact, that's going to make things difficult. Right, let me make sure I've lugged this in at the front properly. Yes, it looks like it. Right. There we go. Quite easy in the end, not bad. It's 8 in Australia. Right, okay. Yeah, fair enough. Oh, so EST is 6 AM. Yeah, there's a few different time zones in America. That is true. So I assume it was Australia then. Yeah. Right, let's take a look at this then. Let's get it onto the track, see how it goes. Right. There's the hungry crocodile still on the floor. Doesn't look much like most crocodiles. Right, let's see how this goes. And of course it is a mighty strong puller because it's got such a good traction tyre on it, or two. So there you go. It's a nice runner, isn't she? Isn't it? Anyway. Right, let's try the crawl then. There we are, she is crawling. Look at that. Can you even tell she's moving at that? It's not bad, is it? I tell you what, my Hornby Thomas doesn't run as well as that. So why that is, I don't know. But anyway, has it stopped now? Oh no. So yeah, that's very nice. Well, that's her done for another year. Excellent. Okay, well, hope you like that. That's another tank engine done. It's nice to always have a tank engine, and there is another one coming up later on, so that's good. So that can get a tick. I'll knock that off. October 18, October 19. And we've got another LNER loco coming up next. It's an A1. It's a very special A1 actually. It's my glossy one. It's Woolwinder. I'm just trying to find her in the book. A4, 9F, A3, A3, A1. Okay, right, this one has never been serviced. I only got it last year in November. How very interesting. Although I have serviced these models before, obviously, so it's not going to be a completely new experience. But I am a bit concerned about the glossy body. I want to try and be as careful with that as I can be, because I don't want to scratch it up. So there we go. There it is. Always careful with that one. I don't like putting my fingers on the actual bodywork while they're greasy, because that's not a good idea, clearly. And normally I've got like a lens cleaning thing that you squeeze and it blows air out, but so I'm just going to have to do it with my lips this time. Yeah, I'm not going to brush this with the paintbrush. I'll have to go and get a makeup brush or something. Right, that's cool. Right, I'm not going to use this cradle because this is the one I use for all the run-of-the-mill stuff. So I'm going to grab a clean one just for this, just in case there's any cack on the inside of it that might ruin the finish. Always a bit more careful when it's a special edition model. Very nice. Right. Oh, it's got brake rigging fitted, or sort of fitted. Well, that's not very good, is it? And as I say, I've not serviced this one before, so it's not me that's put it on that badly. What are people saying? Is there anything you can do to a brand new from factory loco to increase its life expectancy, says Jordan. Oh, that's interesting. Well, the only thing is, if it's not a new release and it's been sat in the shop for a little while, it can sometimes be a little bit damaging to run them straight away and put them on under a big load or whatever. I always like to, if you suspect that it's been in the box for a few years, I would just suggest doing something like this and just taking it to bits and making sure everything's lubricated, and then of course all the usual running in and making sure everything's tickety-boo before you start putting a load onto it. But otherwise, not really. Just being careful from the very start, I suppose, is a good technique. Right, so I'm going to disconnect the loco and tender first. And I bought these tweezers. Hornby was selling a track plug, no, not a track, a tender plug removal tool, but it was about 10 quid to get it posted. So I just thought, well, bugger that. So I went and bought a tweezer set that had one of these in, and it works reasonably well. I've not tried it with an A3 before, so I might have to eat my words on that, but hopefully it will. If I can get it. There we are. So yeah, it beats pulling on the wires anyway, doesn't it? Definitely. Right, so what am I going to do first? I might try The brake rigging might be able to stay put actually. Well, I won't refit it until I've found that out for sure, but I'm going to try and access the axles first, and hopefully it's not all wired in. If it is all wired in, I might have to take it apart first and get the wires loose before I try and take the base plate off, but we'll see. These screws are never very tight from Hornby. It's always easy to get those out, but I suppose that's fair enough. Right, well it is loose, but I reckon it is wired on, so yeah, right, well I'll see if I can loosen that up. We'll have to see on that. Let me just put one screw back in just so that the axles don't drop out, because that won't be a pretty sight. And let's go ahead and try and get the body off then, see what's inside. I'm assuming it's going to be the same as my other Gresley Pacifics, more or less, but we'll see. Right, well it's all disconnected I think. Yeah, it looks to be. Right. Carefully does it. It's always a bit worrying, isn't it, doing this? I tell you what, that motor was very tight in there. Right, there we go. Well look, that's quite interesting. Look, if you look under there, you can see where the gloss finish has creeped through the bodywork. So does that mean it was glossified before the body was sort of put together? I don't know. It's quite interesting. Right, I'm going to put this to one side where it's not going to get hurt. This loco's done quite a lot of running, hasn't it? She's run quite a bit, so there might be a bit to do with this one, but we'll have a look. The dreaded white plug. Yeah. Dave Henshaw, yes, Pico do cradles at a good price. It's been an hour, says Nathan. Yeah, it's been a little over an hour. Right, let's have a look at these wires then. Let's get this tape off. Okay. Right, well, I'll tell you what, I suppose I could loosen the motor. It's quite an involved way of doing this, but with this being the first time she's ever been serviced, I'm going to try and do it thoroughly if I can. So I'm going to take out the motor and unwind these cables slightly and release the base plate. And that should give me full access to the axles, just to get off that factory applied gunge and put some proper oil onto it. Ooh, look, see what I mean about the factory applied gunge? I'm sure it's fine, but I just don't like the look of it. Yeah, nasty. Just it gets all over you, so it makes your hands all sticky, makes the thing look dreadful. And in fact, in the olden days, in fact not all that long ago in fact, the lubricant that Hornby used would rot away the gears and cause them to split. I've had a few models like that, and that's not all that long ago. That's sort of since 2000 that's been a thing, so you've got to watch it. So I suppose that's why I've got this habit of cleaning it off. It's not strictly necessary really, but never mind. Right, I might have to loosen this a little bit more. I don't like to take this screw all the way out because it's a bit of a nuisance, but yeah. Tell you what, that's enough. I don't have to take it all the way out. I think I can leave it like that, and actually it's probably best that it doesn't come all the way out. Take these gears out, give them a little bit of a clean. And if I take them out now, it saves them dropping out when I turn the thing upside down. Right, so let's untwist this wire. Leave it loose. And now, if I'm very careful, and I think having a gentle touch is important when you're doing this. If I hold this upside down very gently. Oops, that wasn't very gently. Where's the best place to grab this? Oops, that wasn't very gently either. Let's try and get this helping hand set up properly first. There we are. In fact, if I probably just hold it at that end, that'll work. Yeah, more or less, that should be okay. I'm not doing anything too rough with it. Okay, take this screw out again, see if we can't ease it away slightly. It doesn't have to come away far, just so that I can get to the axles, ideally. If not, I'm just going to have to squeeze some oil in where I can and clean the pickups as best I can. There we are, it's coming this time. There we go. Right, well, it's not as far out as I'd like it to be, but that's certainly going to give access to the axles and things, which look to be in good shape. Look, again, you've got the Hornby quality there with the bearings. There they are. Again, you don't always get that with Bachmann. Ben Toole says, Sam, can I please get a shout out? Yes, you can. I think you should do a worst new release of the year special video. The worst model of the year goes into a blender and you make a statue of embarrassment out of the bits that are left, says Jordan. A statue of embarrassment, yes. What an idea. Yes, I like that idea. Sort of cardinal punishment for the worst loco of the year. Yes, and I think I know which one it will be as well. The way it's looking, nothing's going to beat the Helgen Tango, which was a heap of garbage, wasn't it? Right, well, I'm quite pleased with this. This looks reasonably good. In fact, I'm just going to clean up the chassis block slightly, get all the excess oil off, and I think really that's all it's going to need. Clean the pickups, a bit of oil on the axles, and we can put the thing back together. Tell you what, the bogey wheels look dirty. Can you see that? They're really dirty looking. Sam, my friend, has got the exact same model he's fixing right now. That's strange. It's a bit spooky. Its side rods and smaller front wheels came off, and now it's like a really long tank engine with a tender, which is a contradiction in terms. A long tank engine with a tender. I suppose there might have been tank engines that had tenders though, I'm not sure. Optional tenders, I should say. Right, so that's the pickups cleaning, almost done. Again, the pickups look very clean. The actual driving wheels, the wheels that do the actual picking up, seem to be remarkably clean. And this loco's run loads. It's been in the Gresley sessions, it's been in the Pacific session. Yeah, it's been run a lot. I'm amazed how clean it is. Right, little tiny bit of oil. Moderation is the key with this. Tell you what, this back axle's managed to jump out. Let's put that back in. Can't get brilliant access to the back axle on this without yanking on the wires. The trouble is, if you put too much force on the wires, you run the risk of breaking them, and it's a right nuisance to rewire these. Right, I think I'm quite happy with that. That looks okay, and I'm pleased I didn't have to take the brake rigging out. That's a nice bit of design. You can take the base off without taking off the brake rigging. A lot of the times the brake rigging will cover... Oh, I've gone and... Whoops. Oh, it's okay. Yeah, a lot of the time the brake rigging covers up the back axles or the back screws and things, so that you've got no choice but to take it off. But with this one, it was a lot better, so I'm pleased about that. Right, so what I'm doing here is I'm just pulling the wires through gently until it sits down flat, which I think it has done now. So, if that's stable there, sort of bi-stable at the moment, yeah, that's alright. I can screw this back on properly. I can try and put this wobbly brake rigging back into place, which seems to have been dislodged. Some brake rigging is really easy to put on. Some brake rigging is really difficult. If they're a bit too, if they don't bend a lot, if they're really, really plastic, it's a pain. But we'll see. We'll have to see how this one is. Well, that's good. The wheel set's turning reasonably easily, which is nice. What I mean is that the side rod's disconnected from the cylinder. Ah, okay. Oh, interesting. What a nice problem. I hope he's able to fix it all right. Right. Brake rigging back in. I'm surprised this didn't cause derailments, actually. I wonder if it's been out for long. Right, well, it's back on now, so it doesn't matter too much. I like the way how this smoothly runs. Yeah, it's not binding or anything. Well, that's good. Well, it shouldn't be, because it is almost brand new. Okay. How's the motor? Yeah, motor seems to be turning freely, which is always nice to see. Let's put a little bit of oil on it at this end. I'm not going to put any oil at the back end, because A, it's covered in wires, and B, that's the brush end, and I don't want oil getting in there, so I think it's perhaps safer not to. Do you think that there's a way to put a gloss finish on a plastic body locos, says Lachlan Kyle. I'm sure there is a way. I'm sure some people have looked into it. Is it something I could do? Probably not. I'd almost certainly ruin it. But yeah, I'm sure there's sort of like a lacquer you could put on, or something, some sort of transparent gloss finish paint. I don't know. Surely there's something available. If anybody knows, let him know. Let us know in the chat if there's a product that could do that. I suppose ultimately though it's quite, I imagine it would be difficult to apply because you've got to get a very smooth finish, and if you get drips and blobs and things, it's going to really spoil the effect. So I think you'd have to know what you were doing, but yeah, you'd probably want to get like an old bit of trying rolling stock or something like that and just practice. And if you can master it, then sure, try it on a loco. If not, then, well, you've not wasted too much time and effort, have you? Right, shall we try and put this thing back together then? I know these wires are looking a bit messy, but as long as they're not trapped in any of the mechanism, I'll be satisfied. Right, so the base gear goes back in, the intermediate gear at least. Bit of oil on that. And then this gear goes in that way, it will be. There we are. I always try not to put too much oil on these because they do sort of leak out onto the outside of the chassis if you do that. And then you get oil running down the chassis onto the driving wheels, which is never nice. Right, put this thing back in. Yep, that's gone on nicely. Always nice when that happens. No sign of Mazak rot or anything with this as well, which is good as well. So that's good and tight. Let's tighten it up at the back as well. Yep, that's it. And really that should be all sorted now. Obviously it's not going to run because I've disconnected the tender, so I'll have to power it directly, but I don't think that'll be too much of a problem. No, it shouldn't be. Right, let's flip it upside down then. Let's try and support it, if I can. Right, I'll put the bit of tape back on at the end once we know it's working. Otherwise I might end up having to take it off if it doesn't work. Right, so a little bit of oil on the rods then. Very tiny amount with these, just in case. Well, just to stop it flooding with oil, basically. So I'm not even squeezing the oiling pen at all. I'm just letting a little drop fall out the end. And I will have to clean these bogey wheels because they really do look filthy. I think they're about the only wheels on the model that do, although I spotted a couple of the tender wheels looked a bit dirty. What are you servicing? It's an A1 wool winder. At least I think it's an A1. It's not an A3, is it? I never could tell the difference. I've never used Montana cans on locomotives, but I make a lot of props and models and they work fantastically. Spraying the body alone should be good. Yeah, well there you go. That answers the question. Right, let's see if I can power this motor directly. If not, I'm considering maybe reattaching the tender and then just clipping onto the tender wheels. But let's try this first. So that's one in. Right, I wonder if I can go straight to the motor with the other one. Let's give it a bit of power so I'll know if it's working. Oh no, that's a short circuit, so it's got to be the other end, which is a pain. Okay, in that case then, let's take this off and see if I can see a way to do this. It's all very well insulated, I must say, which is good. Obviously you want that, but it does make it a little bit of a devil to power. I think this should be okay though. Can I get in there? Hopefully. Right, I'm hoping that will have made contact. It starts walking along the table, so I think that's a yes. Okay, very good. Okay, right, make sure all the wires are out of the way because you don't want it tangling up on the rods and things. Okay, let's give it some juice. Oh, it's shorted again. Oh, I don't know. What's happened? Oh, I see. Right, try again. Yeah, I've managed to short the two cables together there. That's better. Keep these out of the way. Right, crank it up. Nice run of this one. It's a little bit on the noisy side, but it seems to run okay. Sir Topham Hatt says, you have caused confusion and delay, says Giovanni. I haven't. I'm trying to avoid confusion and delay by keeping these things in tip-top running order. I think the Topham Hatt would take his hat off to me, if you'll pardon the pun. Right, let's clean up these wheels. I'll tell you what, I take it back. There is a little bit of dirt coming off them, but I'm not surprised given how much it's run this year, or over the last year. It's one of my favourite Pacifics just because of that gloss finish. And I do wish Hornby would do it more often. I don't know whether it was a massive challenge for them or particularly expensive for them, I don't know. But they don't seem to do it a lot. Maybe it's just a preferences thing. Maybe most people just prefer matted locos. I'll tell you what, there is something I can do. I should be able to post a live poll. Shall I try it while she's having a little bit of a run? So let's try this, because I've never tried this before. Let's see. Is there a way? I thought I could post a poll on the video. Maybe I can't. Oh yes, I can. Right. So I'm going to put up a question. I'll let you decide the answer. I'm going to put on, do you prefer gloss or matte? Gloss, matte. Right. Can people see the poll? I've just posted it. Right, I'll have a look on my iPad, see if it came up. Right, well it might be... Yeah, we might have to wait until it comes through. But keep an eye out. I did post a poll anyway. So you can decide whether you prefer matte or gloss. If everybody says they prefer matte, then that explains why Hornby haven't done it very often. Because they ain't going to do it, are they, if people don't enjoy it. I've noticed over the years that Sir Topham Hatt seems to blame his engines for his inability to run a railway. Yes. He doesn't do very much at all, does he, really, old Sir Topham Hatt? Just sort of points the finger and shows VIPs around, and that's about it. But what do I know? Right, well, these wheels are looking nice and clean now anyway. That poll didn't come through, did it? You might have to reload the stream, I'm not sure. That's a shame, because if I could post live polls and have people answer them, that would make it really interesting, wouldn't it? Never mind, I'll have to look at that. Okay, so that's the wheels clean, let's cut that. Let's have a quick go with these front bogie wheels then, because these really do look dirty. Yeah, there's quite a bit of dirt coming off them. I mean, the ones at the back have got a layer of dirt on them. They really do look bad. I wonder if the bogie needs adjusting. That suggests that maybe there's too much weight on it, which could cause a loss of traction. I can't remember whether this particular loco is very powerful in terms of pulling power or not. I can't remember. You'll have to look at the review for that. But if not, this would explain why. Keep cleaning this one. That wheel's quite clean actually, it's not too bad. It's this one here, look at it. Let's get a nice close-up. If anybody's eating, I do apologise. Look there. Quite grubby, that's about the grubbiest one I'd say. I prefer gloss because the locos in real life are gloss, so it always confused me that the models aren't. You see, that's a sound argument, isn't it? That's what I would have thought. Also, though, there is the high maintenance thing. I've noticed that, well, on forums and things, and with mine really, it's quite easy to mark the gloss finish. So, yeah, it's fragile, I think. It might be an issue. That could be why. Right. Blimey. It's a good job I didn't forget we were zoomed in. Seems quite overexposed, doesn't it? But hopefully it's all right. I've left the camera on auto so that we get the benefit of the autofocus, which seems to work very nicely actually, I must say. Right. Can anybody think of anything else that I need to do to this? I think I'll have a look at the tender and make sure all of the connections and the pickups and everything are working fine there. I will put this bit of tape back on the top just to keep the wires in. It just makes it easier to return the body. But I think that's all screwed together properly, at least. Yeah, we'll have a go then and put the body back on and see if we can't get this stream finished up. Not eating yet, Sam, says Dustin. Well, that's a good job. I mean, it's not that off-putting, is it? I could have shown worse things. Right. Zoom ourselves out again. Now, it's always a bit of a nuisance putting these A3 and A1 bodies on. Particularly the A3s and A1s. because you've got to kind of lug them in at the back, which almost never works, and then you've got a whole ton of wires in the way, which make things difficult. Having said that, I'll probably get it on first time this time, but we'll have to wait and see on that. I tell you what, I've only gone and put it on first time. Well, I'm not bothered. That's quite pleasing, is that? Normally I'm fiddling around with them for ages trying to get it on. I mean, it's not really getting the body on, it's getting the body on without any wires getting in the way and without damaging things. That's always the challenge. It seemed to work well there. The luck must be with me today. Right, so let's plug this back in. We can do that now. Hopefully it still works. These plugs always look far too fragile to me. Go on. There you are, that's gone in. And now we screw the drawbar back on, which is quite a flimsy drawbar actually. I prefer it when they're a bit thicker. But not to worry, it's not a big deal. There, alright, that's in. Okay, well some of the tender wheels are looking a bit on the grubby side, so what I'm not going to go ahead and access all the pickups. No, I don't think I will. But what I will do is I'll test them. I'll power the loco through the tender wheels, and if any of them, or many of them, are not conducting properly, then I'll have to take the pickups out and clean them, or take the wheels out and clean the pickups. But I'm hoping with it being only a year old I won't need to do that, but we'll see. If not, I'll save my time. If so, I think it'll be worth the time, really, won't it? Make sure the thing's working properly. Hey, look at that, the camera's jumping all over the place. It's trying to follow my thumb. It's a bit psychedelic, isn't it, that? Right. Looks like some sort of 80s music video editing with lots of jumping around. Right, I don't know what I'm on about here. South Australia. Gloss looks great if it's done well, says Sammy B Videography. Sometimes there's an orange peel texture to it. Yes, I've seen a bit of that before. Although, to be honest, the orange peel texture was a thing on real models, wasn't that? Not real models, the real thing. Often when you look at the real thing, you get that sort of bubbly, rusty look with paint on top. I don't suppose they're supposed to look that way, but they often do, and I quite like that look. I don't know if I'm making any sense there at all, actually, but okay. Right, so I've turned the power supply up. Let's see if we get some power. Right, yeah, that one's working. That one's working. That one there isn't. Right. So it's all but one working. I think actually then that's going to be fine. That shouldn't be a problem. Yep, that's all looking pretty good. So I'm not going to take it out of the cradle here. I'll take the cradle down to the track, and then it saves me having to put my fingers on the paintwork. Yes. Okay, let's go down to the front then, and then we'll have a little break, and I will show you something special. Something that got sent into the old PO box, which I think you'll quite enjoy. I've got a proper video on it soon, so I'm not going to give away too much, but I will very quickly show it to you, or one of them. Right, how's that? Does it look alright? Yeah, I tell you what, that's running nicer than it was. It's a bit quieter now. There she goes. Well, she looks quite happy, doesn't she? And clearly I didn't do any damage to that tender plug, because it's working, so there we are. Right, I've got to be very careful then and lift this up onto the shelf where it lives. Very careful. And then I think we're on to the final loco. Right, yes, very nice. Right, let me tick that off and then I'll show you what I was talking about. So Oct 18, Oct 19, full service. Oh, that was reasonably good, wasn't it? The only gripe with that one was that the wires were, the pickup wires were soldered rather than just sort of physical connections, and that means that you've got to fiddle around with the wires rather than just pulling out the plate and cleaning everything up. But apart from that, it didn't cost us too much time, did it? Right, let me show you this thing, so it's quite exciting. I'm not going to go into too much detail, as I say. So it's this. It's a loco body for a standard Hornby 040 chassis, and there's a chap in Germany who's 3D printing these. I think he's using Shapeways to do it, but yeah, he's designed them up. They're really, really nice, and they clip onto a Hornby 040 chassis. And he has painted one up, but I'm not going to show you that today. I'll show you that in a couple of weeks' time when I've got the video to go up, and I've shown it to him. But yeah, he's done a really good job of painting this up, and basically the idea is you would buy an inexpensive loco body like this, and it gives beginners and well, you know, anybody really, casual hobbyists, a chance to have a go at their painting skills. And you know, if it all goes wrong, they haven't wasted hundreds of pounds on an expensive kit. So yeah, I thought that was a really nice idea. More on that soon, so watch this space. But yeah, this is a little saddle tank engine, and he's got a side tank version as well. So yeah, quite a nice thing, isn't it, that? And it actually gives the Hornby 040 pocket rockets a lot more character once it's on the chassis. It really does. Okay, so yeah, hope you like that. Keep an eye out if you're interested, and there'll be a video on that soon. Right, well, it's been a real Hornby fest today, hasn't it? And the final loco is no exception. We've got yet another Hornby loco. Not a very nice one, actually. It is the 14XX, but it's the dreaded one that I bought about a year ago, which would explain why it's in this stream here. And it's the one that I did a live stream on, and I basically ripped it to shreds, which I still feel it very much deserved. 14XX Railroad GWR. Right. And here it is, the little blighter. Isn't that loco narrow gauge? No, it wasn't. It's standard gauge. It might be in real life, but it's designed for a 00. I like sooty engines. Do you have model railway specific insurance on your collection? No, because it's just ridiculously expensive. It is covered under the house. Hope your painting skills are up to scratch. Oh, mine aren't. I don't even know. I might let Hayden or TARDIS Rescue have a crack at it, painting it up, because I know they like that sort of thing more than I do. I don't know if Hayden's still here. If he is, if you like that idea, Hayden, let me know. Or you or Dan can have a crack at it. Right. Tell you what, I'm not looking forward to this little blighter. Not at all. But it will give an opportunity to show you what the problems are with the wretched thing. Oh dear. Right, let's have a look then. So on the plus side, it was damn cheap. It cost me like less than 40 quid brand new. And that's where the good parts end. But, you know, it's a nice looking thing, I suppose. It's got metal whistles. Getting quite near the end now of my praise for this model. So there we are, screw inside the chimney. It's quite a clever feature, but that wasn't Hornby's idea. Right, I think that's it for the body. We need to disconnect these pipes, I believe. Yep. It's a bit of a fiddly job, to say the least. Is Hayden still there? Oh yeah, he's still there. What do you reckon then? But I'd want to do it... Oh yeah, you can do it properly. Yeah, you can't botch these things. Yeah, if you can find an interesting livery to go on it, you're welcome to. Right, this is seeming to be a bit of a pain to get out. Come on, there we are. Right, we've got bits dropping off it already. We've got this, the sanding pipe assembly, which is screwed on, but as you can see, well done Hornby, by the way, the screw is so small, let me get it at the right angle, it doesn't actually screw onto the chassis properly. Can you see this? It doesn't actually screw onto the chassis. The bottom of the screw doesn't come out the bottom far enough. So consequently it just drops off. I'll try my best to put it back on in a moment, but yeah, don't hold your breath. In fact, just holding your breath generally is a bad idea. There we go. So there it is. It's been slightly redesigned from previous versions, but not for the best, not really. So one of the big issues, I believe, was this back axle here. The pickups were too long or something like that, and so they were touching the sleepers, I think, or something like that, and getting stuck. Right, let's take this base off then, see if it works. Bye Sam, bye Jackamus. Yeah, if actually, Hayden, if you or Dan wanted to, I mean, you could do it together, but if you were brave enough, you could do it for a video. You could show us how to paint a model, because I know you do that sort of thing quite a lot. Well, I know Dan does, but I assume you do as well. Because we don't do a lot of painting on this channel, really, because frankly, I'm useless at it. Well, I assume I would be. Right, so that's the base plate off. Should be able to unclip this now. There goes the coupling. Put that coupling back on at the end. There we are. Now again, this is a wired one. The pickups are wired and not just contacted, so there's going to be a limit to how far I can take this base off. But we will see. Yeah, it's not coming off far. Let's see if I can, well, I'll tell you what, I can take the wheel set out, or I can leave it to drop out. See if I can unleash the wires. No, it's all, oh yes I can, a bit. Right, I can get it out a bit. Not as far as I'd like, but oh yeah, this will be fine. So there we go. Let's try and take the wheel set out if I can, and then I can clean the chassis. Right, there we are. So there's the first major problem, and I did show this during the stream. But the axles are square. No, not the axles. The bearings are square. Although the front one seems to be slightly more rounded. It looks like someone's filed it so that it looks more rounded. But the back one is pretty much square, isn't it? Not very, a bit ununiform as well, really. So yeah, that's a problem. The other issue, of course, is this back axle not being sprung in any way. I wonder if there's a spring in there. Yeah, no, the spring is completely missing. Can you see? There is a space in there for the spring. There's a little housing for it, but it's just not there. Which and also there isn't enough travel on the axle for a spring to work anyway. So yeah, not very good design this, and of course that means that the traction tyres don't touch the track while she's running, which makes it a bit pointless. But never mind, let's clean this up. This loco doesn't get run very much. I'd rather run the Airfix version than this, frankly. Right, let's clean up the pickups. Bit of a travesty, really, isn't it, this? But it's all right. It's all right for a toy, I suppose, but I don't know how long it'd last. Yeah, pickups are not very dirty, but that's not a surprise because I've not run it that much. In fact, I run the modern, the other Hornby version that I've got that was better, slightly older version. Come on, let's get this shoddy wheel set back in place. Have I got it in the right way? Yeah. Back onto its square bearings. I feel sorry for these wheels, or for the axles. Mind you, the best way to make a loco so bad as this last a long time is just not to run it, which is basically what's happened. Put it on the gears, and also the gears look like they've come from one of those eBay kits where you buy a 3-volt motor and a load of gears and you can make projects with it, things. It looks like those. Okay, and there are also pickups on the rear set of wheels, on the rear axle, which I suppose is one thing. With a model this bad, it might not have had that, but it did, which is nice. Right, let's clip that back down then. Oops, I might need to pull the wires through a bit, actually. Very thin wires, I don't want to be pulling them too much. Right. Everything in place before I crunch this down? Pretty much. There we are. Clip. I think that seems to have worked. Right, well I'll put the screws back in. Might as well. I think all the screws are the same for this, at least on the base. Yep, that seems to go in alright. What's people saying? Those are railroad ties. Railroad ties? Oh, tyres maybe. I don't know. Put the couplings back on. Again, they're not NEM couplings. They're those sort of weird Airfix couplings that nobody uses anymore. How hard is it to service a model train, Sam? Says Nicholas. It's hard to say. Ones like this are fairly easy, but it depends how thorough you want to be. A quick clean and a quick oil is reasonably easy, as long as you can get the body off all right. But it really varies from model to model. But there's no, I don't know of any absolute disasters. I mean, some of them are quite evil to surface, but I don't know of any that are just absolutely dreadful. Right, touch of oil then on the motor, at this end anyway. I did just stab my finger with the screwdriver, but it's not broken the skin, I don't think. Okay, flip this upside down. Actually, it's got such a big square chassis that you can just sit it upside down and it's quite stable. There you go, that's another point in its favour. Can't think of any more though, so that's your lot. Bit of oil on the rods, and we'll see if the dratted thing still works. Although I won't be too upset if it doesn't, although I suppose I will have wasted my time servicing it. Okay, yep, power supply's off, that's good. It's just connected up. Right, well, moment of truth. Runs fairly nicely, quite smooth. Try a new screw for it. Yeah, I might have to. You mean the sanding pipey thing? Could do. I'll have a look. It might need a very specifically short screw though, that's the thing. I mean the screw that Hornby have got on it is too short. But there might be a reason why you can't have a long screw on it. Well, we'll try. We've got time, haven't we? It's only 22. Finished nice and on time today. Assuming everything goes well with this, putting it back together. Bit underpowered though, I'm noticing. I'm putting this cotton bud onto the wheels and they're slowing down quite dramatically. But again, this is not a feedback controller, I should stress. So it will do. In fact, it's only a 300... God, stopped altogether then. It's only a 300 milliamp controller power supply, so it hasn't got a great deal of power behind it anyway. Tell you what, the pickups are still quite long on these back wheels. You can, if you do this, you can feel them on your fingers. It's just a daft design all over, really. Right, let's have a look at this screw then and see if I can't put a longer one on. I suppose really there's no point in that piece coming off at all. I don't think there's any advantage to it coming off. It's a bit of a nuisance, so I could glue it on, feasibly. Right, let's have a look then, let's see if I can find another screw for it. Look at this. I've got one of those fan things here that's, well, when I've got time, I'm going to try and harvest the motor out of it. Right. So we just want an approximately correct screw. It's not really vital that it screws in properly. As long as it holds the thing on, I'll be happy. Right, that looks approximately right. Something tells me there might be a specific reason why you couldn't use a big screw, but we'll see. Mind you, the axle, it's nowhere near the axle, so we'll have to see. Try and start screwing it in then. Is it going in? No. Again, I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep this in shot. I don't know how well it's working. Let's try getting it in place first and then popping the screw in. It's a little bit on the big side, I reckon, but we'll see. We'll keep persevering with it. Right, it's in place. Let's try and screw it in. If not, I'll put the old screw back in and just hope it stays in place. Yeah, right, well, it's not a very precious model, is it? So it's sort of seized up there, so I'm just going to try and sort of force it in. I know you shouldn't really try and re-tap your own threads into these things, but as I say, it's not a precious model, so if I can force it in, I will do. This is where the chassis splits into a million tiny pieces. There we go. Well, it's sort of attached. It's wobbling a bit. It's better than dropping off. It won't drop off now, I tell you that much. There's always the chance that the body won't fit back on now, and if that's true, I'll have to put the... I mean, look at this. Look at that. Look at the size of that. Silly little screw. So if the body doesn't go on right, which it's possible it won't, I will have to revert back to the old one, or maybe glue it on. We'll have to see. I don't want to glue it on unless there's a special reason why you might want to remove it, but I can't see one. Right, moment of truth. Is that sat on properly? I think so. Yeah, I think it has. Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's bung the chimney back on, and if it screws in properly, then it is. I never can tell with 042 locos. Right, well, it hasn't screwed on, which is perhaps not a good sign. Yeah, maybe it is no good then. Let's try that again. Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's stopping it sitting down properly. Okay. Come on, off you get, body. There we are. Let's pop the old one back in then. I mean, if it falls out next time I service it, so be it. Although now I've forced that screw in, it might not go in at all now, but I don't really care. This model wasn't built for its detail, was it? We'll put it that way. Come on. Right, there we go. Screw it in. So yes, there was a reason. Well, no, if it would screw in all the way, it'd be all right. Right, let's see if I can get it to stay there. I think once the body's on it, it's not in any danger of coming away. Sorry, try it once again. I'll try and hold this in shot for you. Yeah, it's not the easiest because the chassis block is quite a big, cumbersome thing. It's quite hard to get it all inside the body. Right, yeah, that's sitting down a bit better now. Let's pop the chimney back in. Right, will it screw in this time? Yes, it will. Right, okay, never mind then. And then it's just a case of putting these pipes back into their little holes. Which again, it's a bit fiddly. Couldn't they have found a way around this? I know a lot more detailed locos than these that don't have such fiddly little bits on them, but it's alright. Yeah. Go on, in you go. Right. I think that's it. I think they're in. Is that one in? No, no, that one's not in. Oh, I think it is now, though. Right, well, the body's on properly. At least, I think it is. So there you go. That's the 14XX. Let's take it down onto the track and see if we can make it limp along for a while. Yep, let's see. If it works, I'll be happy. Put it that way. There we go. Of course, it slides along very easily because, as I say, the traction tyre, it doesn't touch the track, which is sort of laughably poor, isn't it? But it's entertaining as well. So, right, go on then. Yes, it works. Limping along. Put the coupling hooks down. There we go. It doesn't sound very happy, does it? Let's be honest. And of course, it's got absolutely no power at all. Look at that. Bless its cotton socks. Oh well, that's that. Let's put that back then and let's sign it off. And I'll give you some clues then as to what might be coming up tomorrow on the servicing video, or servicing stream as it is. Right, that's a tick for there. That's October 18, October 19. Right, serviced. Okay, so next time it's going to be Triang. It looks like it's all Triang, I think. So yeah, I think that's enough of a clue. It's going to be a Triang extravaganza today. Not today, tomorrow. So all being well, I'll schedule that as soon as possible. And I suppose more people will be around on a Saturday because people aren't at school and work and things. But yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed that. I'll do some shout outs and things. If anybody's got any burning questions or anything you want to bring up and talk about, feel free to do that now. And in 5 minutes or so, I'll call it a day. Go and have some lunch. Yeah, I quite enjoyed that. No major disasters really. A bit of me being stupid, I suppose. Forgetting the D49 power connector. But I think that was more or less the only major cock-up. Well, if you want to call it a major cock-up. It's just a slight cock-up. I tell you that it's a freaking 14XX. Oh, okay, yeah. Yes, it was a 14XX. Did I probably forgot to say that, did I? I don't know. I don't know. Sadly, oh, GWR Studios stopped making videos, did he? Thanks, Hayden. Glad you enjoyed it. As I say, I'm amazed people do enjoy them, because it is a bit, well, I don't know if boring's the right word, but it's quite lengthy, shall we say. But no, people seem to enjoy it, and look, I've got to do this. It's got to be done. So if people enjoy seeing it, it's no problem really to stick a camera on. I've only done a couple. I'll only do it on Fridays and Saturdays. I've been doing it all week, really. Are you friends with GWR Studios? I thought I heard your voice in his Christmas live stream. I don't think I was in his live stream. I recognise the name, but that's about all. Yay, Triang banter, says Edward Station Productions. So yes, it's going to be a Triang day tomorrow. All of my, I think it's because T, obviously in the alphabet, comes after the H for Hornby and B for Backman and things. So the Triang stuff always comes at the end of the list, and I'm towards the end of the list here. Sam, I'll elaborate. Misty was a main character from an anime called Pokemon. Unfortunately, she was written off in 2002 and forgotten. Ah, I thought you were talking about some obscure Thomas and Friends character. That's why I never knew. Okay. He could have made other videos like a review of the new V Thomas Backman models. Oh, right, okay. Great stream, keep up the good work. Thank you, Scott1625. That's very kind of you. I hope you liked it. Oh, Mangle's dropped in. Hello, Mangle. You're about to miss us. We're about to give up for the day, but no, welcome anyway. I love these live streams. Keep up the good work, Sam. Thanks, Nicholas. Glad you like that. Hi, Sam. Sup? Yes. Hi, Mangle. I don't think I'll be watching tomorrow, says Nathan Gamer. That's all right. I understand most people have got other things to do besides watch me tinker with models, so that is quite understandable. So I think that's just about it. Thank you all for watching. I do hope you enjoyed that. It's quite interesting. We've seen a little bit of everything, haven't we, in terms of Hornby. Hornby new, Hornby old, a bit of everything, Hornby, so that's not too bad. Alan Barker, it's interesting to see how different logos are put together. Keep the streams coming, Sam. Yeah, I suppose it is quite interesting, actually, isn't it, looking at that? It's quite interesting. If you're interested in that sort of thing, it's reasonably exciting to see how the different mechanisms work. Patero Culligan says, any plans to get the layout off the floor at some stage? Well, the thing is, I try to make my videos appeal to children and beginners mainly, and obviously all beginners and all children start on the floor. So I just sort of thought I would, you know, start off on the floor and that sort of thing, and as it turns out, I quite enjoy it. I love the sort of, I don't know, I suppose it reminds me of my childhood or something like that. So yeah, it's all right on the floor. If I ever do build a proper layout, like the dream layout, then no, it won't be on the floor. But while ever I'm here at this house, in this loft, I think it's going to be on the floor because it would ruin the room ultimately to put baseboards in. Great live stream as always. Thank you very much, Palinkas. Okay, I'm going to watch some GWR Studios after this, says Nathan Gamer. Okay, good. I'll have to do that. I'll have to check his videos out. Fraser Tate, thanks very much, Sam. No problem at all. Yes, thanks, Norbert. Bye-bye, Sam, Mark, and Nathan. Have a great weekend. Yes, you too. And same to everybody else, really. Have a good weekend. Hope you have a good one. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you tomorrow, all being well. And yes, we'll do some Triang servicing, shall we? All right. Thanks, everybody. I always cut these